Hello. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, but I usually have my weapon, which is the guitar in front of me, and today I don't have my crutch, so I'll see how it goes. I hastily put together a title, which is very bad. It's Go With The Flow. And as trite as that sounds, when I was about 12, I had a t-shirt that said, Go With The Flow, in some kind of, it's probably Helvetica, and it was kind of like going across, you know, go with the flow, go with the flow, go with the flow on my t-shirt. And I loved it for some reason, because it basically was everything that I was not. I was a nervous child, as you guys probably remember. But I remember, you know, going to school on the bus by myself was one of the most challenging things. I was probably 10, and I was still scared of riding the bus by myself. And when guests would come over to the house, I would get a headache, or my nose would start bleeding, or both together at the same time, which was not very nice. I used to write backwards, which I guess means I was partially dyslexic. But we got some brothers in the house here. But so this shirt was basically my motto when I was 12. And then when I turned 13 and became a teenager, I hated it. I hated everything. I hated cheesecake. But hopefully I've repaid that karma. Okay. But so anyway, basically I had never experienced what it meant to go with the flow. It was just not a part of my vocabulary. I didn't know what it meant to just surrender yourself to something else. It's kind of like, you know, when you know, before the first time you fall in love, you know, you hear all these love songs, you watch all these movies, and you think you know what it's supposed to be about. But you don't until it happens. And when I kind of went with the flow was the first 6 months of 2011. I was backpacking for about 6 months. I started in Egypt, and I left, and 2 weeks later the revolution started in Egypt. It was during the Spring Awakening. And I had gone to Egypt to play at a music festival, which was a really great experience. Saw the pyramids and the Sphinx and the whole 9 yards. And I left, and 2 weeks later the revolution started, and my Facebook feed basically started filling up with up-to-date information about what was happening in the revolution and where the police were and where the undercover agents were. And I basically was getting news from my Egyptian friends faster than CNN was, which was kind of interesting. But then I traveled through Italy, and I was there for about a month I was farming and volunteering, doing this thing called woofing. I'm not sure who's heard of woofing. It's basically working on a farm not for money, but for a place to stay and for food. So I was doing that. And I managed to travel for 6 months with Nijiman, which was, in my book, kind of a high point. But so Italy for about a month, a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of great pizza, of course. Knocking down a statue of Jesus, which crumbled into a million pieces when I was staying at a really Catholic, really strict Catholic family's house, and I knocked the statue over on Christmas Day. Yeah, things like that. Getting to France, getting lost, hitchhiking, meeting a lot of sketchy people. They're great people too. And then going through France, Italy, France, overland, and then going into Spain. And going, you know, kind of down to the south of Spain. I went through Barcelona. I rode a train from the Pyrenees Mountains in France into Barcelona. And I went down to Valencia, and then to right by Gibraltar, actually. And, you know, I knew how to say dos cerveza, 2 beers, which is probably enough for my month in Spain. I knew how to say patatas bravas, which is basically the best type of fried potatoes that you can get as well. And I drank cerveza and patatas bravas when Egypt won its independence. I was in Spain at that time. Get to Gibraltar, which is the weirdest place in the world. It's in Spain. Gibraltar, most of you know where Gibraltar is. Okay. It's in Spain, but it's completely separate. As soon as you cross the border, tea and crumpets, Guinness, fish and chips, you know. And I was in this weird kind of in-between world because there's a port there, and basically all the supplies and all kinds of goods from North Africa come in through Gibraltar, that section of Spain. And I was standing on this top of this mountain in Gibraltar, looking across to North Africa, and I could see it right there, and that's where I had started. I started in Egypt. And then I took a ferry into Morocco. And 2 days after I had arrived in Tangier, a riot broke out. And I was running from Moroccan police. I wasn't a part of the riots. Some people asked me, did I go around the world starting these riots? No. But I basically had to run for my life from just this. If anyone's been in a mob, you know, it's a really scary place to be. And so I escaped. I ordered, you know, I purchased a ticket online. But escape sounds better. And I took a jumbo jet. We have those these days. But I took a plane to England. And I took a 10-hour train ride to Marrakesh. Got on the first plane, got to London, and I'm like, okay, finally, civilization. Or so I thought. I got detained in the airport for looking very Middle Eastern. My beard was a lot longer, and my hair was long, and I was carrying a guitar. Yeah, so I got detained, and I was refused entry into the country on the grounds that I looked like I didn't have enough money to support myself. Kind of like probably how you looked when you came to Japan in the 60s. But throughout all of this, I can honestly say that I wasn't scared and that I wasn't nervous. And I connected into something else that just, maybe it's just hopeful thinking or wishful thinking, but I knew everything was going to be okay. And I got my one phone call, and I had to pay for it. I had enough money, and I called. Of course, I made an international phone call, so I had 5 seconds. I'm detained in England. No, but I had more than 5 seconds, and I called home. And luckily, the time, I didn't even think about the time difference, but luckily it was all right. My dad picked up the phone. I said, so, I'm in England, detained at the airport. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll call you when I figure things out. And he said, all right, well, you sound fine, so call us when you have it figured out. Hung up the phone. I had to buy a ticket out of the country, and I didn't have enough money at the time to go back to Japan. So I went to Boston, to the East Coast of the United States, where I have a lot of friends. I studied in Boston for 4 years. And got to Boston, worked at a ramen restaurant in Boston, which is mind-blowing, and played music on the street, gathered some money, and was working to get back to Japan. But then I was starting to toy with the idea of maybe moving to New York. And then the earthquake happened in Japan. And so I had no idea what was happening. And my girlfriend, or my ex-girlfriend at the time, we're back together now. Yay! I got on Skype with her, and she's like, yeah, we just had this earthquake, and sorry, I gotta go. And the screen just went blank. And I had no idea what was happening. I couldn't trust CNN, so I decided I had to return. And I came back actually exactly 1 year ago, almost probably to the day. And so that whole experience was basically my education in going with the flow. I forgot to mention that while I was traveling, my couple of friends passed away. A bunch of friends got married, so there was death and life and love and hate and rioting, but I knew that I just had to go with the flow. And now I'm back here in front of lovely people like you sharing this story, and if we can, we should definitely try to just surrender to the moment sometimes and realize that it's okay. Thank you.